Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dialar's Tactics. I almost said Twi'lek. So, King Arthur's Legends Rise. I just announced I'm coming back. This is going to be my first kind of guide type video. So, you're going to start playing this game. You're going to go through the story. You're going to be overwhelmed with things to do on day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But really, for a mobile game that is a hero collector type mobile game, one of the first questions that we always ask, that everybody asks, is which heroes are good? So in this video, I'm going to try to go through that and explain that to the best of my ability. Now, a lot of the information and a lot of the knowledge that I've gathered on which heroes are relevant or good have come from my interaction with other communities. Now, I am part of the Celestials gaming community for King Arthur's Legends Rise. I know they cover a lot of other games. I'm going to leave the link for their Discord in the description. I really recommend you also join them if you're looking for a guild or a clan, or you want to get to play with other people playing other games. Come join them. Click the link below. Now, so I'm a casual spender of these games, so I don't spend hours and hours and hours diligently testing these heroes, but I think that I've gathered enough information passively that I can kind of give some of that to you so that you're not going into the game working on leveling up heroes that you don't need or that might not be useful at endgame. So one thing that I do have to note when it comes to this game is there is a way for you to reset your heroes. So if we just go over to the character screen, you'll see right here. So if you have put a bunch of resources into a hero that you're not going to use, you can reset them. It will give you all of the materials back that you've put into them, except it will not reset any of the relic developments, and it will not give you back all of the gold it takes to level them up. So if you do pick the wrong heroes, you can reset them. I think that just playing the game, you're going to get a few of them, and then you can buy some for gems. I do believe it's 4 for 400 gems each every month, but you're limited per month. So now you just started playing the game. The game is going to give you some heroes for free. Namely, if we go back to the beginning, you're going to get Turin for free. Now, when I initially started playing the game, people said Turin wasn't good, and now it's come out that she could possibly be the best overall healer in general. I get a lot of my information from Troll Gaming. I do believe he's another content creator that covers King Arthur Legends Rise. I recommend his stuff. He really knows his stuff. So I know he has a tier list too, but he's the one that turned around and finally said Turin's good, whereas I've heard people saying that Turin is trash. You're going to get her for free day 1. You go ahead, put some development into her. You're going to use her. I still use her to this day. Then on day 13, you're going to get Anguish, and he's also useful, but we'll get into that when we go into the characters. So if you go up here, you see there's this thing called Codex, and that shows all the heroes. Now we're going to start at Common. Now, you are not going to use any common heroes. So these guys are basically, they're not going to be food, but if you get shards of them, you can convert their shards into, well, here, let me just show you, and then we'll get that out of the way. If you go over to the summoning place, if you come down here, click this button down here, you can exchange shards and weapon shards for general currency in order to buy other heroes. So there's some more mechanics to this, but we're not getting into that. But for commons, you really can, if you really want to, you can switch them in for just junk. You can junk them, eat them, and use them for other people. You're not going to use any of these. I haven't seen any use for any of these other than, pardon me, when you're going through the adventure mode. I'm not going to get into that, but there's a mode in this game, like it's a campaign, but it tells a story. You are eventually going to have to use some of these heroes in order to pass locked chest fights. Not going to get into that now, but you will need them, but you don't have to worry about them now. End game. What I would recommend is if you get them, do rank them up to Chivalry 10 and then start eating their shards. At least then you'll have them for when you need them and you have to come back to that content later on in game. But for now, none of these heroes of the commons you're ever going to use at least as far as I've seen. Now, when we get into the uncommons, there are 2 uncommons that you will use. 3 maybe. I've heard that there's a use for this shark guy, although I haven't looked too much into it. I don't know what he does. I don't know what weapon you have to use him on, but I have heard that he does have some use in game, but I don't know that now, so I can't topic or comment on that. Now, this guy, Degerit. So he is going to be very, he's an easy build. He's an uncommon. You are going to want to build him in Frost. I do believe that is the weapon that he comes in. Maybe let me move my noggin up over here. So you do want to run him in Frost. He is going to be useful for the Gorgos dungeon boss, which is going to be the where you get your gold and where you get your leveling potions. He is going to be critical because of a couple things. I do believe it's one of his passives. Yes, it's this one right here. So when inflicted with the dot, he gets effect accuracy, the buff. But then if he gets 2 of them, he's going to remove all his buff, but he's going to remove all dots from all of your allies. Now, I'm not going to go into the dungeon right now, but he is going to be used in every team up to and including to help you beat the stage 10, which is the hardest current difficulty of the Burning Lands Gorgos boss. This is the main reason. You're going to stick him on automatic just so that he's using his skill 2, which removes 2 dots and blah, 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 blah. And you're going to let him roll. You're going to put him in like a vigor life set or even just the life sets, and you're going to look for like a bunch of defensive stats because you just want him to take turns or you just want him to live because he kind of passively works as he takes dots. Then he's going to remove them from the whole team. I do believe it's yes. When inflicted with the dot, he gets 2 of these or 1 of these. When he gets 2, he removes dots from the board. So really, build him tanky as hell. You just want him on the field to do his thing, and that is primarily where you're gonna use Degerit in this game, as far as I'm concerned, right through to endgame. Now another guy that's really good is he's kind of hidden beneath me, but Alan. Now, you're going to want Alan, but you're going to want his fire weapon. Now, the place where everyone is using Alan is in the cat boss, where you get your relic awakening materials. Now, you're going to want him in fire because his S2, his skill 2, is going to an 80% chance to reduce the target's attack gauge by 30%. So you're going to probably want him as fast as possible. Since he is doing a skill 2, you probably want to go either a speed set or a vigor set, because vigor is always good everywhere in this game. It allows your other heroes that have to do more like S3s to do that. But I think that since you're going to want Morgan in an S2 and you're going to want Jillian in an S2, you could probably get away with running this guy in a full speed set just to take as many turns as possible, because really he's just there to strip turn meter from the cat boss. I do believe the cat's called Tarask. So you're going to want this guy to keep this guy. You might want to put some development into him definitely early on. You're not going to get to the cat boss until far later, or not far later, like after maybe like a week, 2 weeks of play, you'll unlock that dungeon. But this guy is a very easy build for you to use in the cat boss using his S2 on his fire relic. Other than that, on these guys, I don't know any other. I haven't heard of anybody else using them. I know that some people probably want to use Luke as one of their first healers, but you're going to get Turin day 1, so you're not going to need Luke. So as uncommons go, really it's Degerit, Alan, right there, Alan, and then don't quote me, or you guys can correct me in the comments where this guy is used. I don't really want to go because I don't know what relic. I'm not going to talk about it, but I think he does have a use end game to build. Now, rares are going to be your bread and butter in this game. Who are you going to use and where? Okay, so you're going to use Turin. Turin you're going to get for free. You are going to want to build her with her Wid weapon. It's fine. That works well. You're going to use her in the bear boss. I do believe it's called... the bear boss, where you get your relic upgrade materials. You're going to basically... Well, she's got a lot of, lots of healing. A lot of AoE healing. I don't think this is, yes, grants resistance to... grants attack speed increase to, and then 100% chance for each other ally. They've reworded this recently to heal each ally for 15% of her max HP. So that's good. Even our S2 is good. Grants effect accuracy increase, defense increase, and grants all allies recovery over time. But the weather has to be night. Now, one of the caveats with her is you do need her. I think it is even her C1. It changes the weather to night. So if you go into, since weather effects are a thing here that we got to worry about, you do need like her C1 in order to turn the weather to night so that she can actually do her healing. Pardon me. Otherwise, which is it? I can't remember what skill it is, but yeah, you're going to need C1. But she's going to be good. She's a really, really good healer. She's got really good, like, high healing capability. And you're going to use her in the bear boss. You can use her in a lot of places. So don't sleep on her. She's a good healer. You'll use her. This girl right here, Kirdin, haven't heard of any use for her. Erdogan, I would recommend not building her. I haven't really heard a lot of good uses over anybody else you're going to get in the game. Now, Rosier, she is going to be, if you're free to play, she's going to be your primary bread and butter damage dealer. The one caveat being is that you're going to want her in her fire relic. She comes in ice. You can use her in ice, but you're not really going to get the bread and, the main uses. You're not going to get the main oomph out of her until you get her in her fire relic, and that is because on her S3 it's a 5-hitter with a chance to do even more damage, right? And she's going to apply bleed, she's going to apply dots. Because she applies dots, you're going to use her in the Gorgos boss. I use her even in level 10 since she's a 5-hitter. She's got a multiple hit on one ability. You can use her in Penvid all the way up to, I've seen, into stage 10 as well, and she puts out big damage numbers. So you are going to want to build her if you're free to play. Hell, you're going to want to build her if you're pay to play as well, because you are going to use her in Gorgos. So Rosier is, even though she just looks freaking cool, like when she does when you finish a battle, and if she's the one that does the most damage, she like sprays blood everywhere. Like, it's just cool. I like that the game went that way instead of going, safe like a lot of other games do. She's cool looking. Just, yeah, build her. She's great. You can use her all over the place. She does really good damage numbers. Ralph, cool looking. Haven't really heard of a lot of good places you're going to use Ralph, so don't worry about Ralph. Clementine, if you're free to play, since Clementine comes in fire, I do believe, and she does have attack gauge reduction abilities, and she's a healer. So free to play, you are going to use her in the Tarask, which is the cat boss where you get your relic materials right here. 90% chance to reduce the target's attack gauge by 50%, meaning put her in a vigor set with accuracy and she's good to go. And plus her S2, she removes debuffs and she has an AoE, right? And I do believe this is just the heals lowest HP member as well. So she got 2 heals, and then really it's this one, the 90% chance reduction to reduce the target's attack gauge, and I think she can even do more on one of her passives. Using skill 2, which is her AoE heal, 100% chance to decrease the target's attack gauge by 30%. So even though she's going to be, you're primarily going to want to use her for that 90% chance one, you could just put her on her S2 automatic on Tarask and peel off 30% chance. But it does have a passive timer, so you can't do that every time she uses her S2. And then is it this one? Yeah, this one I do believe 100% chance to trigger when using skill 3, which is that big attack gauge reducer. She has it charges her attack gauge, and she can do it again, I do believe. Yeah, so she can just go twice basically. 100% chance to reduce the target's attack gauge by 40%. So you're going to use her, build her. You could use her as a healer if you need another healer, because you're going to need a couple of them for your clan bosses. But you're going to like to use her in Tarask until you get some of the other higher level characters. Moving on. Frederick. A lot of people are sleeping on Frederick. And if I could shout out the name, there's someone in my guild, Grail. You know who you are if you ever come across this video. I don't know if it's a he or she. Their avatar is a girl. So I'm going to say she has been singing this guy's praises forever because he is a healer. And there's a very specific interaction that he does with Bedivere, who is a legendary. And, we'll just show you. So on his S2, if you get him up to Chivalry 8, right there, Oath of Truth. When using a recovery skill, which is his S2, grant all allies recovery over time and attack increase 2 for 2 turns. So you're going to, what is attack increase 2? Well, I can't click on it, but I do believe it's like 20% or 15% extra or attack. And a lot of your heroes, their skills are scaling on attack. So this guy, once you get him up to C8, he becomes a transformative hero. So you can run him in, I do believe he does come in fire. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's this one right here. You know, trigger buffs, heals all allies for a percentage of his HP. But when he does that, he's also going to put attack up. So you're going to want him faster than your main attackers so that he buffs them first and then they do their big AoEs or their big nukes. That is what makes this guy really, really good. So at endgame, I'm hearing that he can replace legendary heroes on teams where he's also the healer and the attack buffer. So don't sleep on Frederick. Get a copy of him. You can work on him, but just know that you're not going to really get the main oomph out of him until he hits his C8. All right, Isolde. You're going to get Isolde very early in the game as well. She's a healer, but really the only place that you're going to use her is in the Gorgos boss dungeon, and you're going to use her all the way up to level 10. And the only reason why, you're going to want her in her ice weapon because Gorgos is fire. You're going to stick her on automatic S1, which has a 50% chance to apply a dot. Chill is a dot. It reduces the attack speed as well, but it also causes them to take 3% damage on their turns. But you're going to want her at least, I do believe, C1, because C1 makes it so that her skill 1 is also a heal. So she's going to be like a passive healer daughter. And you're going to use her only in Gorgos. You're not really going to use her anywhere else, but you do build her because she does have a use at endgame. Cormac. Now, if you guys, I recommend going and watching Stu Gaming's video. Stormac, I do believe, comes in wind or fire. No, it's wind. He comes in wind. If you're going to unlock him, you're going to get him in wind. But if you can come across this relic, the ice relic, even though he's a defensive hero, he can put out insane damage numbers on his S3, which is his AoE, because if you skill him up, he has all these huge damage multipliers. I really recommend going to watch Stu Gaming's video on Cormac, because then you're going to be able to see this guy hit like a truck and just clear levels in story mode, campaign, adventure mode. So enough said on him. He's really, really good. He's really good rare. Accolon is going to be someone you're going to use all the way to endgame. You're going to use him in the bear dungeon. Aldry. You're going to want him. You're going to want him in his wind weapon, which is what he comes in. And you're going to put him on an automatic skill 2-1. So 2 first, 1 second. Why? Because his skill 2, 90% chance to inflict recovery disruption for 2 turns. This is the only character that can do this heal block for 2 turns, and you need it for the bear boss. Otherwise, you cannot complete it because the bear will regen his whole health bar after a hibernation if you can't block his heal. So I have this guy, I do believe, in a speed set with accuracy to get him going as much as possible during those 2 turns of hibernation of Aldry. But build this guy in wind weapon, which is good. Build him. You're going to use him right to endgame. Very, very good hero. Sarah. Now, I personally haven't gotten a whole lot of use out of Sarah, but people were using Sarah in the cat boss, Tarask. I think it's one of her passives. So 1, when she uses a skill, she removes debuffs on up to 4 random allies. That's nice, but I do believe it is this one. So when she uses her skill 1, she has buff disruption. Target is unable to receive buffs. The cat boss likes his buffs. And then grants attack gauge disruption. Skills cannot increase this character's attack gauge. So she's going to put that on the boss that you're trying to beat. And let's look at her skills right here. And I don't know which one you use exactly. Heal all allies. Probably that one. Heal all allies. But I think people primarily use her for her buff blocking ability on the cat, because the cat will put attack speed increases on him, and really that fight is about controlling the attack gauge or the attack speed bar. So haven't got a whole lot of use. I haven't really used her because of our other heroes, but I've heard that she's good in that boss. Nicholas, I haven't heard of any good uses for him in the game anywhere. Gareth, really, really cool hero, but she's more of a PvP type hero with some control effects. You can skip her. You're not really going to need her. You're not going to run her in PvP anyway. Urians, I've seen some interesting stuff. He's a counter-attack kind of hero, but he has to hurt himself, which I don't like. This one sacrificed 15% of his max HP, and I think it starts a little higher. The only place I've seen where you need him right now is for one of those locked bosses or those boss chests in the adventure mode. Otherwise, you can skip him. You don't need to build him. Don't worry about him. You don't want him. Anguish. Anguish, again, is a rare that you're going to want for Gorgos 10. And that is primarily the only place you're really going to need him. Because of his S3. Attack the enemy 5 times. The boss 5 times with a 75% chance on the last 3 hits to apply a chill, which is a dot. Because that fight's all about dot application. You see, he likes running with Isolde. I don't know if they get a benefit for running with someone. Don't know. Anyway. So Isolde, when Anguish attacks with skill 1, okay, there's a chance for Isolde to do a co-op attack, which you're not going to run skill 1 anyway. You're going to run him on S. You're going to put automatic S3, skill 3, and skill 1. You don't ever want him doing his skill 2. You want him doing this one strictly just to apply chills or dots to Gorgos. But you're going to use him right up till Gorgos 10. Bodwin. If you do not get Guinevere, Bodwin, you will use him to pass your story mode 10-7, hard 10-7, hell 10-7, and anywhere where you got to fight Cromcrotch. So the only reason to build him is if you can't pass that boss, because I've never used him. I think he's comes in wind to start, but don't quote me. It's he has something with abnormal status right here. Remove 1 abnormal status from all allies. And that's his passive. 50% chance to trigger when inflicted with abnormal status. So it's a 50-50. But what that's basically going to let you do is avoid getting eaten by Cromcroach, which is the main boss of this game. So that's his only use, is for this 50-50 chance to not have the boss eat you at the beginning. Other than that, you don't really need him for anything else. Ban. Now, Ban used to be one of the big damage dealers. I know he got a nerf with this last patch. I do believe he comes in... I don't know what he comes... I think he comes in ice, and you want fire. I think fire is the relic you want. But what he does is he... 80% chance on his S3 to reduce the target's attack gauge by 30%. So he is primarily going to be used in the cat dungeon. Right here, 70% per chance to inflict attack speed decrease for 3 turns, which is also nice. You do want to get an attack speed decrease on the cat for that boss, but if you do get Tristan for free, and Tristan can do that on his S1. So I don't see a lot of people recommending Ban after his nerf, and there are other better characters you can use in that dungeon, but I think he does or could still have some uses. But you do need to get him with his fire relic. And he comes in Frost, I do believe. Boars. No one's running Boars. Again, you'll need him for 1 locked chest in story mode or the adventure mode. But other than that, don't worry about Boars. K is going to be one of the first damage dealers you build. And K, you're going to use everywhere. She hits really, really hard. I can't sing enough praises about K. But the primary use near... and current endgame is going to be in Penvid, which is the boar boss, which gives you your advancement materials for your heroes, right? So you can take them, you advance their main yellow stars. You're going to want her, though. I don't believe she comes in wind. You are going to want her wind weapon, because what that does is on her S1, she hits 5 times, which is going to, if you know the fight, Penvid, it's all about reducing the shields. And you have to do it, I think, 16 times. You have to hit the shields to bring it down. So having a 5-hitter is spectacular. And then her 2-hitter is also really, really good. Hits 4 times and then gives her all those buffs, so she hits harder. So don't feel bad about putting a bunch of chivalry levels into your K. She's going to be one of your primary heroes right till endgame. You're even going to use her in the favorite dungeons, which we haven't discussed. But her S3 and AoE attacks all enemies 4 times. Like, she's just... I can't say enough about K. Get her wind weapon. I wouldn't put too much advancement maybe in the frost or the fire weapon. Just really be on the lookout to try to get her wind weapon, which is the one you primarily want to build. K, great rare. You see there's a lot of good rares. And then Arthur. So a lot of people poo-poo on Arthur. He comes in fire. He's a fire weapon specialist. But What people have been discovering about Arthur is that if you get him in Wind Weapon, which I do believe you get playing the story mode, they will, I can't remember what chapter it is, but you will get this weapon, the Breath of Diana. So you want to put your relic resource materials into the Wind Weapon. And if you get it built up enough, as you see here... no, it's not that passive. It's this one. No, maybe it's this one. Here we go. So, yes, it's on the Wind Relic itself. Attack one enemy 3 times. For each hit, deals additional damage if the target's element is Frost. What does that mean? That means Bear Boss. That means Idri. I keep forgetting. But if you get him built up with a lot of chivalry, and it's all like attack, hits one additional time on crit strike. If you can get him up to his C8, he can, and this one, attacks 3 times, but then attack additionally, if it's Frost, he's going to hit 6 times. And with this huge multiplier, people poo-poo on him, but I haven't built him up myself, but I've got him on my list to build with this Wind Weapon, putting in some chivalries into him. I think that he is going to be able to replace, say, like a Tristan or even maybe a Bedivere on that bear boss. But he does require development. Like I said, a lot of these heroes, you don't really see their transformative capabilities until they're around their C8. So don't sleep on Arthur. You are going to have him at the beginning of the game. You're going to use him all through the beginning of the game. But you're going to want to build his Wind Weapon. Specifically, I think he's going to be good in the bear boss. So a lot of these rares, great heroes, even used at endgame. So now let's go into legendary. Now, I'm going to do this I'm not going to get into each hero individually. We're just going to go through this real quick because I'm already 27 minutes in. I want to keep this video around a half an hour. Florentis, he's an arena-only hero. You can only get him from arena points in the arena store, as well as Sergius. Sergius and Florentis, they've got a lot of cool stuff in their kit, but if you go watch Troll Gaming's latest video on Sergius, I think he's right. I was running Sergius. I had him really, really well built. I was using him for his turn meter reduction AoE capabilities, but it's situational, and there's other heroes that can do it more cheaply than these two. Because the only way you can get chivalry for Sergius or Florentis is if you use the legendary general memory stones, like the gold badges, or if you get extra copies of them through the arena. Ain is actually really good. I used her at the beginning, and then I left her off to the side, and now I've come back to using her primarily on my arena team because of and she comes Frost because of this ability. Is at the beginning of the fight, she's going to give attack speed increase 3, but then right here, or is it this one? Using skill 2, 100% chance to grant and all allies counterattack and crit damage up. So she is a very, very good buffer for your attack hero. So I have her set in a speed set so that she goes first, gets all those buffs out on your whole team. And then your whole team, once they either get hit, they counterattack, or if they have AoE, they just nuke on that first hit because they get that crit damage up. And she does have some abilities that she can extend the buff durations, but I think it's in her chivalry somewhere. Don't know, but yeah, she's actually really good for an attack buffer, and she's good in PvP. So if you get her, you can build her. And I am using her paired with, say, like a C8 Bedivere, which is going to be really hard to get for you. That's like endgame whale stuff. But she can do some really cool things with like a Clarissan and a Bedivere. And actually, if you have Clarissan, she can buff up your heroes better than Ain and do damage. So, Ain is more of a support, whereas Clarissan is an attack. I'm kind of talking about her now. But Ain can be really, really good. She doesn't do a lot of damage herself, but she can really ramp up your damage dealers to, hell and high. I don't think that made any sense, but I said it anyway. Clarissan, until you get her C3, which her skill 2 grants all allies crit damage increase 2, and fills their attack gauge bar, which is amazing. Until you get her to C3, she's kind of a wet blanket. But her AoE is on her S2, and it also gives her crit rate increase. So she can get crit rate increase and give crit damage increase every time she uses her skill 2. Of course, it's on a cooldown, but she is can become really amazing at C3 paired with some of your other damage dealers. So she's good. Jillian, best healer in the game. You're really going to see her shine at S3, where she she reduces, I think, flexible diplomacy. What's flexible diplomacy again? It is this one. It's her passive, 70% chance to charge attack gauge. So people think that she's a healer, and she definitely can heal, but she's really more of an attack gauge manipulator and a team buffer. So get her up to S3. She's going to ramp up your attack gauge and heal, right? 70%. Oh wait, sorry, 70% chance to trigger an ally when an ally recovers HP. So when she heals them, she can charge her attack gauge. You're gonna get her in fire, and you're primarily gonna be using her S2, because her S2 is what reduces attack gauge and it heals the lowest health ally. But if you can get her to frost, which is difficult, and I realize now my head is covering some of this content. If you can get her in frost, her S2 is a AoE heal as well. So really, frost, Jillian is the way to go, but fire works really well as well. But I don't know if her frost S2 reduces attack gauge. It does. 60% chance to reduce the attack gauge by 30%, whereas fire S2 was 65% to remove 40. So she can remove more attack gauge in fire, but she can do it in frost and AoE heal your whole team. Jillian is probably, they call her the best healer, but she's probably the best support healer, but not the best outright healer. With that, you can actually do a turn to get more heals if you're looking for heals. But her kit is amazing, but it's just really hard to get her. So you can use Turin before her, but just keep in mind that she's going to be really, really good in any boss, because she can reduce attack gauge on her S2 and heal at the same time. Yeah, vigor and accuracy, just like most of your supports. Sigrun, I just got Sigrun. She comes in fire. I don't know enough about her, but I've heard she can be used in one of the fire dragon boss. So if you get her, she's a tank / heal / support. Weird. She does have a way to taunt, or to make someone else taunt. She's got a weird kit. Bedivere, hands down best DPS in the game. He comes in frost. You're going to use him everywhere. If you get him up to C3, he charges his own vigor. He's great. If you get him up to C8, transformational hero. And then you pair him with some of these other attack buffers like Ain or Clarissen, and he just destroys everything. So best hero in the game, in my opinion. Best attacker, Tristan. You can get Tristan for free really early on. He's going to come in as wind weapon, and you are actually going to use him in a lot of places. So you can use him in the bear fight, and you can use him in the tiger fight. So Tarask and that relic bear, because he does have lots of hits. His S3 is and Penvid. So you can use him in Bear, Penman. You can use him in all the dungeons. And he's a good single target damage dealer. You can use him a lot. But I found that eventually you're probably not. You can, fill his roles with other heroes. So he inflicts attack speed decrease on his S3 and his S1 for his wind weapon, which is good in Cat. And if the target has protection, then he hits again, which makes him really good for Penvid, because Penvid's all about hitting a certain amount of times to bring the shield down. So Tristan, you're going to get him. He's going to be good for you early on. He can hit hard. He's a single target damage dealer, but you're going to want to build his wind weapon. His fire weapon is, has the ability to hit 8 people on his S3, but it's kind of bugged and they fixed it. It hits random enemies. So it actually could be worse for you when you're going in Penvid or Tarask. So Tristan, he's okay. You can use him. You're going to get him for free. I would develop him. He's going to be probably one of your primary damage dealers early on. Guinevere. Guinevere is a better version of Bodwin. You're going to use her to, she's going to come in wind. You're going to just put her on her S2, which gives a shield to your team every time she does it. But it's one of her passives where I do believe she gives your team abnormal status immunity at the beginning of the fight. And it's going to keep Crumcrotch from eating you. That's her primary use in this game. But you don't need her. You can just run a Bodwin. Gawain, I've heard he does really good things. He has kind of annoying because he turns... Oh, my mouse is weird. He turns the battle to day. And he has a high cost. He's a damage dealer with a high cost. Because you're going to want to use his S2, then his S3. Attacks all enemies 2 times, AoE. Attacks all enemies 2 times, AoE. So he's a good AoE damage dealer. But it's this. It's his S2 that applies this scorching heat if the weather is day and heat. Burn is a dot, scorching heat. Inflicts defense decrease while weather is day and heat. And then, he's going to come around and swing this, attack all enemies. And then 100% chance for the last hit to inflict Burning Sun. Okay, so you're going to want Burning Sun and then do S. So you're going to want his S3, then S2. Because, I don't know, whatever. He's an AoE damage dealer. I got him built, but I haven't really seen the good things out of him. I think there's heroes you can use that are better than him. We'll leave Morgan for last. Merlin, he's great. You're going to use him he's going to come in Frost. He's like an AoE controller support. This one freezes heroes. 55% chance to inflict freeze. This Frozen Remains. There are teams you can use him in Gorgos to keep your team from getting dots on them. There's a lot of videos out there. Go find them. He's good, but in my opinion, just kind of meh. Because he's kind of does like a lot of things, but not anything other than that Frozen Remains mechanic. Doesn't do a whole lot of things exceedingly well. He just does things. I could be wrong. I just don't think he lives up to the hype. Lot, he's a control type hero. He has the ability to control your heroes. You do need Lot in fights that have a lot of funky mechanics. Specifically, the Forbidden Dungeon, I think it's called. There are fights in that require a Lot. He can be annoying because of the debuffs he puts on, but he's not one that you really want to chase. I have him, but I don't really have him developed because I don't really need him. Claudis, if you can get her, she's great. I think she comes in fire. She comes in fire. It's this one right here. Her S2 attacks all enemies 2 times. 80% chance to reduce the target's attack gauge and gives your team attack speed increase. So since it's an S2, she can just do... She's really good in the cat boss. I don't really know what these are. What are her passives? 70% chance to trigger after an ally attacks. Grants all allies attack speed increase. So she can just passively give attack speed increase. 100%. So when using a skill 1... while having attack speed increase, decrease the target's attack gauge by 20%. 30% chance to charge this hero's attack gauge by 100%. So you might want to just run her, S1? That sounds broken. 100% chance to trigger when using skill 3 while having gains amplification. Okay. Skill 3, you're probably not going to use. Attack 1 enemy, apply confusion. So it sounds like her S1 and her S2 are really, really good mixed with her passives. And since she's going to be fire, she's going to be really good. She's going to make you just blow through the cat boss if you got her. But if you don't get her, you can use some rares. And even rares. And even an uncommon. But I think once you get her, it makes Cat really easy. Now, Morgan, best hero in the game because of everything she does. You're going to get her early on. You're going to get her on your first 10 pull. You're going to get her in fire. You're going to use nothing but her S2 forever. Attacks all enemies AoE with a 70% chance to decrease all the enemies' attack gauge by 10%. And that actually goes up. I think it goes up to, 30? 30. So you're going to run her in Vigor with accuracy, and you're going to have her using her S2 every single time. If you get her Frost Weapon, it's also really, really good. Clears all the buffs, and gives damage taken increase. If you get her in the Frost Weapon, though, you're going to lose the attack gauge manipulation. But between Fire and Frost, she's probably the best hero in the game just for fight control. And that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, a 39-minute video. Oh, God, you guys are going to hate me because I have a tendency to do very, very long videos. But hopefully they're actually informative. So that is, if you're just starting the game, that is your general hero overview guide, who to go for, who is good for what. As you can see, this game, a lot of the rares are really, really good. You can do a lot with them all the way up to the highest level of the dungeons. And then just get the legendaries. As you get them, slot them into the places where they're necessary. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this helped. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, put it in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next time. The word of the day is castle, because that's what I'm looking at on the screen. So if you put castle in the comment section, this is something I've done for all my games. If you put castle in the comment section of the game, I will know that you sat through 40 minutes of my Dialar rambling and hopefully learned a few nuggets. And I will like your comment and thank you profusely. So until next time, everyone, cheers, peace, bye-bye.